Hi there, welcome to Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. My name is Hetty the Entrepreneur and I am your host for this conversation. But as always, I am not flying this plane on my own. I do have my co-pilot with me. Papa Biz, how are you today?
Papa Biz here. It's good to be here, to be able to introduce a friend of ours to the rest of the community. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. I'm also looking forward to this conversation. Today, we are in conversation with Tshego Kekana. She is the founder and CEO of Alfa Destiny Communications. She is an entrepreneur, a daughter of the soil, and she's doing phenomenal work. And I absolutely cannot wait for you to engage with her and get to know her better. Tshego, how are you today?
Hi, I am good. How are you? How are you guys?
Good to have you.
Very good. We're excited to have a conversation with you today.
I'm so happy to be here. Awesome. So intimidated.
I don't start with that. I don't
be intimidated. It's a conversation among friends, and it's going to be free flowing. The audience is entrepreneurs, so they're like me and you.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're building their businesses, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
Before we actually get into the nitty-gritties of what you do in your business and the phenomenal work that you do, we always find it to be quite important just to talk a little bit about the person, Tshego the person.
Yeah.
Where did Tshego originate from? Where is home? What was kind of your upbringing like?
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's the hard part, right? When you talking about yourself. So, my full name is Tshego Kekana.
Okay.
Tshego Molatelo Kekana. Which Tswana and Sepedi names, which really encapsulize my upbringing in a Tswana/Sepedi home. I was born and raised in Atteridgeville in Pretoria, and by two parents who are still together in a loving home. I had a beautiful childhood in the township with a very strict grandmother, but it was an amazing childhood, I think one that most of us Black South Africans have lived.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm the firstborn out of
Firstborn,
three kids. Yes. Firstborn out of three kids.
Same what?
So I think my leadership was by default.
Yes. Yeah.
By default. Yeah, and I had a very beautiful childhood, like I said, but I've always been a very ambitious child. From a very young age, I saw myself sort of like working from the ages of 15 years.
Okay.
And doing small things, exploring little things, very adventurous, very curious, very ambitious from a young age. But yeah, that's where I'm from.
And then for yourself, because, myself, I also grew up in a family of three with my parents, and I was the eldest as well.
Ooh.
Now, one thing that I experienced growing up is I thought that our life was just normal. Parents in the home, three kids, I thought that was just completely normal. Up until became more conscious, I think more in high school and especially varsity, where I began to realize, but this is not the norm. And I'm taking a lot of things for granted. I'm very privileged in the way that I'm growing up in this type of nucleus of a family structure. Did you also experience that? Or, that was just normal. This is what they needed to do for me.
I did. You know how I knew that we are possibly more privileged than the other kids on our street, not even in the community. It was when my sister and we went to Hillview High School, Pretoria, and we used to wear these green blazers. And most of the township kids that went to township schools did not have blazers as part of their uniform. So Rona, the Model C, they used to call us the cheese girls. No, they used to call us the cheese girls. We would walk, outside of get out of the taxi, and you're wearing these green blazers, and you have this nice uniform, which I thought was nice. And then you're walking up the streets, and all these kids are looking at you. I think that was my realization that, our uniforms are actually not the same. And also the fact that we had to catch a taxi to go to town,
Yes.
to go to school in town, right? And our peers were walking. Either they were walking to school or they would catch the local taxi. So I think that was the first moment where that I realized that we are not overly privileged, but I think we were at a better space than our other peers and our neighbors. The second one was that I grew up in a home, yedi taxi. So my grandfather was a taxi mafia.
It's coming out now.
Wow, this is cool.
So my grandfather was an entrepreneur from my mother's side. He had about 16 taxis.
16?
Yeah, he had about 16 taxis. Yeah. So we, I don't know where the other taxis he parked them. I think he found a yard where they were parking taxis and some of them were at home. But he was a very respected man in the community. Plus, he was tall, he was big, he was dark. So they respected him a lot. So he had two businesses. He was a taxi owner and he also had a mechanic shop.
Okay.
Where he rented space behind the garage, the petrol garage close to home. So we were also well respected because they respected business people in the community. My grandmother was a leader at church, and they renovated the house at home. So we went from a 4-room, your typical 4-room house, to what they call a big house. And that's how I kind of saw the differentiator, that even though we are all living in the township, we are different to our neighbors.
And I think for me, I often would look back and think how, because of like that type of experience where I'm aware of the changes, I think it came from my parents as well, where there's quite a lot of pressure in terms of what you're going to be doing at school. Don't take this for granted. Don't waste this type of opportunity. And it was something that will often sit with me, and especially, of course, because my siblings would come afterwards, and if I wasn't focused, then it felt like then they wouldn't be focused. Did you also grow up feeling that type of pressure?
Of course. I think the firstborn pressure. My dad raised me like he was raising a boy. He never raised me like he was raising a girl.
Okay.
My dad was very strict with me than he was with my two other siblings.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. And the last born is a boy, so he also didn't get that. Firstly, he taught me how to drive at the age of 15.
Really?
Simply because I loved going out a lot from a young age. I loved to party. I had a colorful youth.
Okay.
And he felt that he doesn't want me depending on boys to drive me home.
Okay.
So he would rather teach me things while I'm still young so that I can be independent. So my dad taught me independence. And then there was the pressure of you have to finish school, you have to graduate. My father never cared what we all want to do, all three of us. It was just a matter of whatever it is, you have to go through school to get to wherever you want to go. So he was very strict with education, also because he was a teacher before, and he was very strict in being a disciplined child, and understanding systems and understanding rules. He was very strict on independence. My dad never taught me to depend on even my parents, so for a long time I learned not to depend on a lot of people, but rather it was literally instilled in me, to grow that way.
Sure, that's quite interesting. The two of you have got amazing similarity.
Oh, you have no idea.
Kaba's parents are also teachers as well. So that's quite interesting. You mentioned something about having a vision for your life and always knowing that you're going to be destined for something great. Where did that come from? Was it something that just came innate within you, or did you see examples of it that made you think, you know what, I'm going to reach for something higher?
Sure. It came, I remember the day it came. I was 15 years old. I was doing grade 10, right? What?
Whatever it is, yes.
Somewhere there.
Somewhere there.
Standards, grades, let's not expose each other. So go.
Yeah, I was between 15 and 16 years old. And in high school, Meneer de Wet had given me, I actually asked for an opportunity to organize an event at school. And I just saw other schools in Pretoria doing nice events. As I thought, why don't we do such events at Hillview? And I approached him. He was the HOD at the time, and I said, I'd love to organize this event. This is the young, ambitious me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to plan it. I just went there with an idea. And he said, okay, cool. You want to organize an event? What event do you want to organize? I said, I don't know, any event. And then he sat me down and said, okay, this is the list of the events we need to organize for the year at the school. Just pick one and then you can go and organize it. I was like, okay, cool. Then I picked Mother and Daughter Day.
Lovely.
And then I said, okay, fine, what's the next step? And he said, you probably need a team. I was like, okay. But I didn't know what will the team do? How?
Yeah.
I just figured it out, right? So he said, you'll probably need a team. I'm like, cool, can we use your classroom during breaks? And he agreed. So we went and I formulated a team and we got excited. We're organizing this event. We did everything. We were very young, so we didn't have graphic design skills. So we literally drew the posters with color pencils and then put them around the school, got the principal to send out letters to parents. Ticket was 11 rands.
Okay.
To this concert that we're putting together.
Yeah.
Right?
1 million rand, that must have been pricey then, hey? Sure.
It was. And I remember I had booked Ntando. Ntando at that time, he was still a backup singer to Brown Dash. Yeah. And I booked Ntando and I booked KB.
Wow.
To come and perform. And I went to my principal and I said, okay, can you at least pay for their petrol? And he asked how much? Like, I said 500. Guys, I thought that was a lot of money then. 500 for each for the petrol because they come and they had agreed. Long and short, the event never happened. It was cancelled.
What?
Huh?
Because only 2 people bought tickets and that was me and one other person from my team.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So I was devastated. I was so devastated. I cried like a baby. I think I missed one of my classes and I was sitting on the stairs and I was crying my eyes out. And my friend sat with me and she said, Ginelwe, and she said to me, probably this is the first of the many things that you are destined to do in your life.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that I knew I'm destined for a lot of things. But then I also knew that if I'm destined for many things, the first thing I'm destined for is to become an entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
And work for myself. And that's where the name Alfa Destiny came from.
Wow, that is fascinating.
That's the story.
That is absolutely fascinating. And it's interesting because sometimes we do actually need to kind of fall flat on our face in order to get the message. And I always encourage people to say, fail well, fail astronomically, especially in the beginning, when there is enough grace for you to fail.
Absolutely.
So that you can learn the lessons quickly and then you can be able to run your race.
Yeah.
But I mean, just even having that bravery to do that is absolutely phenomenal. And people often talk about like the breadcrumbs. And if you follow the breadcrumbs, it actually shows you your story and your change. That's the breadcrumbs, because now you're hosting all these big events on behalf of corporates and, personal brands and all of that. And, that's so phenomenal. I really love that story because I think it's such a game changer.
Thank you.
So within your home, I'm very fascinated to know how they received the idea of taking on entrepreneurship? Because what I've generally found, especially in African homes, we are often encouraged to go the corporate route, to, go a bit more of the safe path.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is often viewed as, unpredictable, anything can happen. How did your family receive that line of thinking?
Such a good question. I think till today they are scared.
Ne?
I think till today, like my dad would send me messages to say, "Oh my God, you're working on the summers. You're working on this. What?" I think they're looking at me and saying, we don't know where this child is going, but clearly she's doing somewhere. Yeah, she's doing something. I did get raised in a home that was very traditional. Go to school, get a job, and even when I was unemployed and I was in between looking for a job, or this was 2016, or starting my business, because I've always known that I want to go into business. But at that moment, that's when I realized, I talk about my dad a lot because I think I've stressed him more than I've stressed my mom.
That's how it is.
Yeah, it's like that.
So at that point where I'm trying to decide whether do I go back to working or do I start my business, then I decided to just do both. Start the business while I'm looking for a job. And I'm in between work. I'm in between jobs, but I still want experience. And the one thing I needed was a laptop.
Okay.
And I asked my dad, and I called my dad and I said, I just want you to buy me a laptop. Yeah, that's all I need right now. I'll figure out the data and all of that, but I just want a laptop. And he bought me a laptop. Back in the day, Macro used to have these specials where it's a laptop and print. I don't know if
Yes, I remember those.
yeah, so it's like a package. So he bought me that and it's like, okay, you want to start your business? Here you go. Here you go, He also didn't know there was the investment towards something bigger.
Yes.
We both didn't know it until I told him years later that, remember, you bought me my first laptop. My first Alfa Destiny laptop was bought by my dad. And even then, he didn't understand. It was always about, why don't you just get a job? But also at the time I was in a relationship, a serious relationship, but my partner was also not understanding. So you have people around, sure, from all corners. Yeah. You are not understanding this passion that you have, right? You wake up early in the morning and you're working. You sleep late at night and you're working, and they're not getting it. Why aren't you sleeping? Why aren't you just getting a proper job, working a 9 to 5, coming home, cooking, doing what is expected of you as a woman? And I would get that, particularly in the early stages.
What was this vision that was fueling you? What is this thing, this picture that you could see in your mind of what you were working towards?
I've always had the vision of building an empire of a business that works at servicing brands from a 360 perspective.
Okay.
Whether it's brand development, PR, marketing, content creation, storytelling, whatever it takes to service a brand to ensure that it gets to its next level and its next 10 years, I've always seen myself building this empire of a business. And it started as a PR boutique firm. But as I also grew in my career, the vision then became clearer and clearer that, there's other elements that
can be added.
That can be added in this brand building exercise that we're doing. The whole point is to walk a journey with brands and its clients, right? A long journey with them. And it was this picture of seeing this name that I have on a building somewhere, sure, in Joburg somewhere, in Cape Town somewhere. It was walking in and seeing a lot of people employed by this business, and being at the helm of creating better lives for other people, and being able to transform lives through the work that we do. So I've always seen myself sitting in this beautiful corner office that has a beautiful view. Not yet.
Well on the way.
On the way.
Well on the way.
Yeah.
You know, in this beautiful building that has our name outside of it, you know, but working with people that love what they do, are passionate about the work, because also building that culture became very important, you know. So the vision is, it's a lot of elements into the bigger vision. But working towards that and knowing that even when we are 5 steps ahead, we are still so far to get to where we want to be. So I'm not sleeping until I get there.
Sure.
You know, so that's what fuels me every single day.
Wow.
So for those who are not as familiar like we are, what does Alfa Destiny do?
So Alfa Destiny Communications, and now Alfa Destiny Event Management. So we are moving into a group function. We are a communications agency. We're an integrated communications agency. What that means is that we integrate PR, marketing, and events into one agency.
Oh, wow. Into one.
Into one, yes. And then we do public relations, we do media relations, so publicity for brands. We do content creation, we do storytelling. Sure, we do. Can hear that a lot, yeah. And then we do corporate events. Yeah, corporate events. And then recently, I had to start Alfa Destiny Event Management.
Sure.
So that we can also do our own events. Because I think we've spent a lot of time doing events that it needs its own company as well, its own agency. So I own Alfa Destiny Group now, with comms and event management into it. Other elements are still coming.
And then a question that often comes, I mean, I used to have that a lot because Hetty was the one who, in our previous businesses, introduced me to PR. And we used to have these discussions, not fights, but a slight lack of alignment where I'd be asking, but why do we need PR? And, we still have small business growing. What's the difference between PR and marketing? And we get these questions often from the different entrepreneurs. How would you describe that?
So there is a difference, and there's also a thin line between both PR and marketing. So what PR is, it's a way you communicate with your external audience. And you communicate with the external audience using various channels. Social media can be one channel. So social media it's a part of PR. It's not the whole thing. I know some people would confuse and say social media is PR, but it's a channel.
Okay.
So the channels of communication formulate PR as a whole.
Okay.
But PR on its own, it's how you relate with your audience, with your public. So how you relate with your public is how you communicate with them. Back then, you would communicate using telegrams or a fax or a letter or, and then it was email, and then there were levels and the evolution of communication on its own. Now we have various channels of communication. It's how you connect with your external audience. Whatever you do to connect with the external audience is PR.
Okay.
Marketing. Let me make an example, because I always explain it easier when I make an example, right?
Cool.
So we have this water, right? To monetize your business. This water, it has a brand name. This is marketing. Ne? And then it has the content inside, that is the product, right? So marketing then sells this. It works to sell the brand and the product that's inside. PR now looks at who was the founder of this brand.
Okay.
What is the story behind this brand?
What are the conversations
What are the
people are having even?
Yes.
Yeah.
How are people perceiving this brand, right? Are they perceiving it positively, negatively? That's where PR comes in. If they're perceiving it negatively, so let's say we drank Hetty's water and Hetty's water has cholera. And
I forbid we should give away the money.
right? It's not a marketing job to fix.
Okay.
It's a PR job to fix.
Yes.
Marketing's role was to sell the product. not to fix whatever negativity that can come out of the contents of the product. That's not marketing's role. Our role as PR is we now talk about the brand and the product. We now create conversations around the brand and the product. We get to the depth of who the person is behind the brand. So that's the difference. I hope it's clear.
No, I think that makes sense. And then also then for entrepreneurs, because I'd handle like the numbers and those type of things. At what point do you think it makes sense to be looking at investing in PR? Because obviously a lot of it is like rands and cents. And as you're growing a business, it's like, okay, cool. We seem to have a business. So we do have some money, but should I really put that money aside for that? Is if I invest, the conversations we used to often have, if we put this money here in this PR exercise over this length of time, how is it going to bring more money into our account through sales and so on? And these are the conversations that we'd have, and also entrepreneurs have. So at what point do you think it makes sense also for entrepreneurs to be investing in that way?
I like that question. I love it so much. Startup entrepreneurs do not need PR. No. They need to build their brand.
Yes.
They need to invest in building their brand. PR comes in when you have an established brand. Because then what are we talking about if you're still starting up? Right? So when you have an established brand and you've built your brand and there's a story behind it, that's where we come in, because now we elevate what you've built and then we carry it forward. And then we also take your vision as the entrepreneur, because you've developed this product or this service, but there's a reason behind it. So what was that process, for you to start, right? So once we hear that, and we also get to understand what is your vision. So if your vision is, let's say it's a beauty product company and you've got skincare, and you are telling us that I've developed skincare products for particularly Black women or African Black women, right? Then we get to understand that, okay, if you're talking about Black women, there's Black women globally. So it doesn't have to be in SA or in Africa.
Yes.
So then we build a strategy that how do we then take your brand globally through PR efforts? We can never do a PR strategy based on a startup. It can't work. That is when marketing comes in, because if it's a startup and you've just started, and maybe let's say in your skincare business you've mixed the product and you've got your body butter, you've got your body scrub, like you don't have labeling, you don't have a what do you call this, customers, right? That's where you need marketing to help you in the design, the CI, your brand CI, your labels, your fonts, all of those things, right? That's we do that, but I'm explaining where PR comes in and the difference. So for entrepreneurs who want to understand at what point do I bring in PR, you bring in PR when you know that, okay, I've built something, now I want to spread.
Yes.
Even personal brands. So there was a time where one big artist, I'm just not going to mention his name, he came to us and said, you know what, Tshego, it's been 10 years. I've built this brand. I feel like with my own power, I've reached my ceiling. I'm still hungry to grow, but I just don't know what this growth looks like. Then you've come to the right people. Because now we can look at your brand from an external perspective, because you are in it. You are seeing what's in front of you. But we come in, that's why sometimes PR, they call it external communications, that we also look at externally, how do you grow your brand beyond you?
Okay.
And beyond your power and what you've built, So PR is a long-term investment. It's not a short-term investment. With marketing, you can do a marketing campaign for 3 months and you get your sales and you're done. With PR, I'm not going to say that PR efforts do not drive sales. I think with the evolution of PR, they do have a way to drive sales. When I started my career in PR, we would always say PR is not sales and PR does not drive sales. But if you think about it, PR is a way to persuade or change perceptions or influence.
And it can start the sales journey.
It can start the sales journey.
Definitely.
Exactly. So if we are influencing those perceptions about your brand, it means that the whole purpose of PR is also to get positive publicity.
True.
So if we've influenced your audience from negative to positive, and now we are getting your audience to trust your brand, they will buy into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you are this bright, intelligent young girl from Atteridgeville who is seeing this incredible vision for her life and decides to formulate Alpha Destiny. And, you know, in the PR and communication space, it's a lot about who you know, the networks you have, who believes in you and is willing to take a bet on you and the services that you offer. How did you begin to build your network to be able to grow your business to this level, to knock on those doors, of course, face rejection, but sometimes the door opens and then you take the opportunity and then you're able to run with it? What are some of the challenges that you encountered along the way?
Sure. I think I've dealt with character testing situations in my career. Before I even went to go solo, I worked for difficult bosses.
Sure.
Very, very difficult bosses. But I'm the type of person that always sees the positive in everything.
Yeah.
So my mind is structured that way, that I need to see the good in people.
Yes.
And the good in situations, you know. So I've learned to, within my career, I did what people call building a brand within a brand. Okay. I wasn't intentional about it. It just happened that I would network a lot with clients, with media in other parts of the continent. You know, if we're in Ghana, I want to know which media houses are in Accra or in Kumasi. You know, if we're in Nigeria, it's the same thing. So I would always work on the ground. I would always serve and learn as much as I can, you know. So if I'm on an account, I would literally go to the client and sit with them in their office and get to learn from them. And then in that way, you build those relationships.
Yes.
You know, in my relationship building, I've learned to be friends with the right people and the right associates. Nurture those relationships over the years. Nurturing meaning send birthday message, check in every now and then. You know, maybe today respond to WhatsApp statuses so that they can see that you are still within their radar.
Absolutely.
You know, you nurture over the years. And then, you know, one day maybe because we work in a space where we have so many events.
True.
Invite them to your events. Treat them as, you know, VIP guests, blah, blah, blah. I've learned to nurture relationships before you need them. Then only, I would say, actually, my guy from Nestle, remember, you know, don't forget that we also have an agency. So if ever you've got opportunities, please, you know, let me know. I remember one person I've approached. She's somebody that I used to work with back then. And we have such a good relationship that she said, I'm not even going to wait for you to pitch. I'm going to guide you on how to submit so that whenever we open up to pitches, then at least you have that bit of guidance.
Yes.
So once you have nurtured those relationships over the years, then you can have those conversations where they help in opening the doors. But it starts with serving those people. So I served a lot. I worked. The other day I was doing a post on Instagram and I was looking at when we started working with Kellogg's. And I was also part of the team that was picking up boxes. And, you know, we were packing boxes, picking up boxes, cleaning with the broom. Like we were literally working on the
Yes.
you know, but that was to show the client that we are here for you and to do the work, and we are not scared to do the work. You know, so titles aside, we'll do the work. So I believe in nurturing relationships more than anything. And there are relationships that are worth nurturing. There are relationships that are not. You know, so I've built my business and my network through that.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I love that. That's so interesting, and that servant leadership sometimes we often miss, because I find that we live in a time of social media when we portray entrepreneurship. People are driving big fancy cars, they're opening shops, they're speaking on stages. It looks so glamorous, but we don't show those moments where we are grabbing the broom and sweeping. Because we have to take ownership over whatever it is that we're doing. And as entrepreneurs, predominantly, we are here to serve.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is our purpose. Everything else is just, kind of the cherry on top, and the results of us actually serving. And sometimes that message gets lost in these glamorous times that we are living in. Tshego, as we begin to draw towards the end of this conversation,
Oh.
I know. It's gone by so quickly. And for those who don't know, we know Tshego so well. These are the kinds of conversations we have
All the time.
We can't literally speak for hours and the whole day. I promise you, this is like being a fly on the wall. But unfortunately, we must be regulated this time around. I'm just thinking of the person who is watching and is starting out. They've also got a vision, just like you did many years ago, and they're thinking to themselves, I want to build something big. Or they're on their way, but they've hit a bit of a stumbling block and they're just not sure of the way forward. Entrepreneurship is so unpredictable. Some of the challenges, we can't even foresee them. We could have never imagined them, but they come anyway. What message would you have, particularly for a township entrepreneur who is on their journey, that can possibly encourage them to keep going on their path?
I'm about to go spiritual.
Go for it. Go for it.
Safe space.
It's a very safe space, yeah.
I can never talk about my business journey without talking about God in it. And I truly, truly believe that the challenges that you're talking about, for me, I wouldn't have gone through them without God's grace upon my life and upon the business. And the fact that besides me, and I'll get back to the advice to the person on the ground. I'm a mom. I'm a single mom of 2 kids. And I've always thought to myself, how did I even be able to provide for these children? How have I made it? I mean, I was reflecting the other day that I worked for about 9 years or 10 years, and I resigned in 2020, just before COVID lockdown. And I remember going back to my boss, because when I resigned, I had 5 clients. By the time I resigned in the business, I had 5 clients. And what I was making in the business was more than what I was making in my salary, with my salary. So it was a reason enough for me to resign, because I figured if I could do this as a side hustle, imagine what I can do if I'm working on it full time.
Yeah.
And the first challenge was lockdown level 5, because my last month was April and level 5 started in March. And within 2-3 months, I lost all of the 5 clients that I had at
my
clients,
goodness.
So I was down to, I lost 4. I had 5. I was down to 1. But also this one gave me 3 months, and they were like, we're also closing down.
Yeah.
Sure. So that was the moment where I could have said, okay, maybe let me just go back to working, because I had a really nice job, and I was a PR account director at the time. So I was quite senior at the company, and I called my boss and I said to her, can I come back? And she said, no, not that I don't want to back, but even when you started in this company, you've always known that one day God is going to pull you out.
Sure.
And this is the time. So you can never slap God in the face.
Sure.
So it was literally within God's plan for me to resign the time that I resigned. And everything that happened that year was really a testament of His grace. So, and everything that happened after, even when we were going through our pitfalls, when we were going through the adversity, because since resigning, the company is 8 years old, but since resigning, it's been 4 years in full time. The first 4 years was side hustle. And the 4 years were testing.
Yeah.
It is challenges, and what I learned is you need to be resilient, and you need to understand that whatever you're going through now, you're going through it.
Yes.
You're not standing still. You're literally going through it.
Yeah.
And then you'll get out of it. I believe that God will have never given you the anointment of an entrepreneur if he was not going to make a way for you. That's my true belief. So to somebody that is feeling down, feeling like they want to give up, which happens.
Yeah.
You're not the only one. I think most of us, we go through it if we haven't gone through it. I would say to them, keep going.
Sure.
Keep going. But to those that believe in God, be firm in your faith. Like literally hold on to God and prayer, because I believe for me it gives me my peace. Yeah.
Sure. That's quite powerful. Quite a powerful note to end on. Hey, Papa, what have been some of your takeaways from this conversation, nuggets that you've picked up from Tshego?
I think the first thing is just, how do we describe it? Connecting the dots.
Yes.
Following the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Because it requires one to actually just step back out of your current life situation, just to be able to just follow in all the breadcrumbs that are behind. I mean, even in talking about your grandparents and the connection to entrepreneurship, because it's not everybody who has that, but sometimes we do, and we don't connect those dots. And just with the last point that you made as well, it's something quite pertinent even with us, and you've echoed it, which is that it's fine you connect the dots. At the same time, keep your full-time job and start a part-time business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people want to jump and just, go ahead.
The deep end.
Yes, because, and I know why. It's because it's for the fame. Nobody wants to start at the beginning. So they like, if I do it, then I'll be this person on social media and everything. But by doing that, one's actually able to grow, learn, and put a solid base in terms of what you're going to be looking to do. And that's why even your boss was able to say, you're not coming back. There's hardship now and so on, but this is your purpose. And you know what to do. You've already been doing it. So yeah, those are the two that came clear to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my takeaways, it's almost kind of nuanced in your stories, but there are two instances where you came face to face with a challenge and you were surrounded by people who were able to allow you to see life beyond the challenge. The first was your event that you were organizing at school, and in as much as it didn't pull off, there was someone that was able to implant within you the thought that, hey, this is actually a telltale sign of bigger things to come, and let's keep to that vision. And then, of course, also when you officially left corporate, and obviously none of us, could have foreseen the huge impact that COVID would have. But even having a boss who would have that foresight to see your talent and skill and to see that you are destined for so much bigger, it reminds me of the importance of making sure that we are surrounded by the right people. Because if you had the wrong people speaking into your life at the time, you could have made different decisions and gone a different way. So that for me is also just that reminder as well, just doing that audit of who's speaking into your life and who's around you. And you will only really know when you hit those hard times.
Yeah.
And it's in those times where you want to receive the correct messaging to help you move forward. Gosh, monetizers, I hope that you have been as impacted by this conversation as we have. As I promised you, Tshego is such a powerhouse And she's got such a beautiful and humble aura about her. But make no mistake, she is a force. Okay? She is a force. She has the ability to make things happen. And I think that's something that I definitely really do admire about her. Let us know within the comment section which part of this conversation resonated with you the most. And did anything really stand out for you? Make use of the comment section. We would really love to hear from you. This brings us to the end of this episode of Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. Until the next episode, bye-bye for now.
Cheers, guys.
So we've heard all about mentorship, but are you looking for a physical platform that you can plug into? Well, I've got good news for you. Monetize Your Business workshops in partnership with FNB have been designed exactly for you. If you are an entrepreneur based within the township, then we are coming to you. Monetize Your Business workshops are a fantastic platform where you can get access to masterclasses, fireside chats, networking, and you can also pitch your business for an amazing cash prize, a good boost into your business to help you grow and scale your business. You also have an opportunity to exhibit your products and services to a buying customer base and audience. So if this is something that you're interested in, hurry right now, run, don't walk to www.monetizeyourbusiness.co.za.